They blend in. The patients.
All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. If anybody else comes, they'll just walk in. All right. So appreciate you guys that were able to come out and make it tonight. I am recording this for anybody that is not going to be here, and for you swimmers, I'll be testing you a little bit to see if you remember most of the things that I talk about. Okay. It's just general stuff. I'm not a big rambler. I kind of get to the point when I talk, so this won't be super long. All right. First things first. Everybody obviously knows that it's getting colder outside. All right. It's that kind of the time of year where it's going to be pretty chilly from here on out. So make sure that you have proper attire. All right. Most of you guys have parkas by now. Don't go home just in your parka in your wet swimsuit. All right. That's just not smart. All right. Make sure you at least dry off, and ideally you change your clothes and stuff before you get in the car. You know, have your shoes and socks on, all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to be shivering in your car. All right. So don't just have a parka. It really helps, but if you can just dry off and change, that'll help you stay warm. Okay. Another big thing that we need to work on as a team is a lot of times we don't get in on time. All right, and I know there's some special exceptions with people can't quite get here exactly at 5:30 or 6:30 or whatever, but for the people that are here on time or 20 to 30 minutes early, and you're getting in 2 to 5 minutes late or whatever, especially more for Makos too, we need to work on getting in on time. All right, it's really important. Okay, you need to be punctual. It's a lesson that you can learn, you know, in life, is just to be punctual. You don't want to be that person that's late to a meeting or just decides to stroll on in kind of whenever you feel like it. Okay, especially for Makos 1, we only have an hour. All right, so if you're getting in 5 to 10 minutes late, you know that's only 50 minutes of practice. So it's really important to try to get here as soon as you can. And if you're late, just make sure that you're ready to go and act like you're in a hurry. Okay. But please, let's work on getting in on time as a team. We definitely need to work on that. All right. Clock skills is the next thing that we need to work on. All right. A lot of times, if you have somebody in your lane, or if you're next to somebody, a lot of times you'll try and rely on that person to count for you, or to just go when they go. But it's important that you guys pay attention to. You've got to know exactly what the set is. All right, you got to know when you're supposed to go on the interval. All right, and every time I tell you guys to go fast, you have to get your times. How many times have I said that? Like almost every time we go fast, right? So you have to get your times. You have to understand how the clock works. I mean, raise your hand if you do not know how a pace clock works. I think everybody does, right? I mean, it's really simple math, right? It only goes. It's every 60 seconds, right? It's exactly a minute. It just goes by seconds. And if you're not really sure, you can go ahead and talk to us. You can talk to me, Sue, Austin, or Jacob, and we can try and give you a little lesson real quick. But we try and teach you guys how to use the clock if you're not sure. All right? There's always simple ways to do that. Like, for example, something's on 50 seconds, all right? And you start on the top. The next time you're going to go on the 50. And the next time you're going to go on the 40. You just subtract 10 seconds. There's always simple ways you can do that. And we can try and teach you those tricks if it's easier for you guys that way. Okay? Next thing is swim meets. All right? When it comes to payment on those, we have to pay the district first. So if you guys could please pay all that stuff in a timely manner, that would help us out a lot. So just make sure we pay those on time if we can help it. And if you already enter a meet, if you enter an event, and we've already paid for it, I mean, there's no getting out of it. Like, you have to pay for it, even if you decide that you're not going to go for whatever reason. All right, so please honor that payment, and if you already decide to go to a meet. And going back to having clothes and being warm for the meets, the last Tuesday night meet when we had 19 swimmers, some of us weren't quite ready for the cold weather, right? A lot of us didn't have pants on, we didn't have shoes and socks on, and some of us were complaining that you were cold. And I've told you guys quite a few times, it's really important, especially at swim meets, because you're getting in and out of the water all the time, that you have to keep your body warm. All right, because when you warm up and you're letting your muscles get cold, all right, that's shortening up your muscles. You're going to dive in, you're going to feel really tight. All right, so that's why even you see all the good swimmers, even in indoor meets, you see Phelps and Lochte and Coughlin and all those guys, they wear clothes and parkas indoors. All right, you almost want to feel like you're kind of sweating. right? It's important to keep your muscles as warm as possible. Especially for outdoor meets, shoes and socks are really important, right? Or you can wear ski boots or whatever you want to do to keep your feet warm. But I saw too many people with sandals on at these Tuesday night meets. All right, you won't need to have shoes and socks on, okay? Because even us standing outside, like my toes get kind of cold no matter what. So you definitely want to keep all your attire warm, all your muscles warm. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, gotta stay warm. Parkas, I mean, like I said, I think most of y'all have parkas, so if you haven't got one yet, it really helps. All right, I mean, I'm wearing my parka out there all the time, so definitely bring a parka, okay? So everybody that has timed at the meets, by the way, thank you for that. We always, not always, but sometimes at those Tuesday night meets, we'll have to provide timers, and depending on how many swimmers, it's usually just one lane for us, but please just be ready, and we'll try to do a little sign-up sheet for people that can, so we know who's going to time during what times and that kind of stuff. But usually only those meets you'd see and stuff. It's very rare that we'll have to provide timers at those meets. But so thank you for all you guys that have helped time at the Tuesday night meets from now on. And then when it comes to getting to meets on time, I try to talk to you guys individually. So for example, if you're not swimming until 2 hours into the meet, you don't need to get there right when warm-up starts, all right? Because, I mean, I don't need you guys to be sitting around just for nothing. I usually like you guys to get to the meet about an hour and 15 minutes before your race, just so you can get in, kind of get settled, give you a little time to relax, and then, you know, get in about an hour or 45 minutes before you actually race, all right? But if you're getting there 30 minutes before your race, that's not helping you very much, all right? Just doesn't give you enough time to settle, and doesn't really give you enough time to really warm up properly. Okay, so about an hour and 15 minutes, and usually there's timelines before every meet, so you can go ahead and look at the timeline online. When the meet information comes out, I try to send that by email so you guys can look at it. And then I do talk to a lot of the swimmers if they ask me what time to get there and stuff. So it's all individual. I don't require everybody to be there exactly at warm-up time. Just I don't really believe in that too much. So, and then another thing for the swimmers is warm down. Okay, raise your hand if you have warmed down properly after every single race at every meet you've been to. I'm gonna pretty much say nobody, right? All right. So warming down is extreme. It's probably more important than warm up. Okay. If you're not warming down properly after a race, all right, you're gonna not feel so great. All right, for your next race, because you're gonna build all that lactic acid up. So my rule is usually you warm down double the distance what you swam. Okay. So if you race to 50, I want you to warm down to 100. If you raced 100, I want you to warm down to 200. Okay? You gotta warm down like right after you. If you don't have to come talk to me right away, but if you want to come talk to me, right after you do that, go straight to the warm down pool. Okay? Because that'll help you. That's gonna help get your muscles tight if you're not warming down. Okay? Caleb, it doesn't feel so good if you don't warm down properly, right? Feel that a little bit, right? All right. So I mean, you guys know, and I know some of you guys have never really been to a club meet before, or a Tuesday was your first one, so it's a little bit different than the summer league meets, how things are run, okay? And I know some people got a little bit confused on when to go up and how soon to go up before their race. So I think in summer league, they kind of, parents guide you and you have a ready bench and all that stuff, right? That doesn't usually happen at club meets. So you gotta watch the scoreboard, all right? There's usually gonna be an event number and a lane number, all right, what heat it is and all that stuff, so you got to pay attention. I mean, I try and run you guys down. I've had a couple people almost miss a race, but I caught them. But when we have a lot of swimmers, I'm not going to be able to babysit you guys all the time. All right, you guys got to kind of have that as your own responsibility to know when to go up and how to pay attention to that for yourself. And you can always, I know some parents have heat sheets, you can always ask me. Like, some people ask me how many heats there are before their event so they know. So if there's 10 heats before their event, they don't have to go up right then. But if you have, say your event 23 and event 22 is up, there's only 2 heats, your butt needs to be on the block, all right? Or else you might miss your race.
And
okay?
on that note, it's also good to keep in mind what event it is, because like 2 heats of 200 free is going to take a lot longer than like 5 or 6 heats of 50 free. So keep in mind what events are happening, so that way you can properly time what you're about to swim.
Yeah, that makes sense, everybody. I think another thing that'll help is getting clear goggles for everybody, especially for the meets at the Tuesday night races and for practice here. Sometimes you guys are like, I have dark goggles, I can't see very well. So get a pair of clear goggles, all right, at night. It's really hard to see the right way when you have darker goggles on. Trust me, I've kind of gotten used to doing it, but it's definitely better to have clearer goggles. One thing I used to like to do, I'd have a pair of meat goggles, I'd have a pair of practice goggles. So you've had some people lose their goggles off the blocks, right? So what I would do is my practice goggles would obviously not be as tight, all right, just because I wasn't going to dive off the block very often. But my meat goggles, I'd make sure that they were tight. I mean, really, really tight. I'd have the suction on my eyeballs ready to go. And so I wouldn't have to worry about adjusting my goggles all the time. So I think getting 2 pairs of goggles, a pair of meat goggles, a pair of practice goggles is really helpful, okay? Because sometimes you guys are always fidgeting with your goggles and all that because you only have 1 pair, you're trying to set it up for practice, and then when you have to off the block. So if you get 2 pairs, I think that's really going to help, okay? What else? Oh yeah, and then everybody, after your races, please need to come talk to me after your races. No matter how good it was, no matter how bad it was, there's something that you can always learn from races, no matter what the outcome was. So please come talk to me. If you don't, sometimes you're not going to have time. Like if you have 5 or 10 minutes in between races, don't worry about it. Just come talk to me at the end. But please don't just walk out without talking to me after your races. I mean, I'm not going to be able to catch everyone when we have multiple swimmers. All right, but it's really important. Like whoever's at the meet, just please talk to a coach after the race. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? Any thoughts? Any comments? No. I mean, that's really. I mean, besides a couple other things I want to talk about, that's really all I wanted to talk about when it came to swimming. The next big thing is nutrition. Okay, I'm not gonna go into depth about this stuff, but nutrition is very important, especially for you guys that are growing. All right, so you guys are already burning a lot of calories just growing and your body adjusting to all the hormones that are kicking in, and then you throw in all these practices you're doing, school, and all that. You're burning way more calories than your average person, okay? Even when you're working your brain, you're burning more calories than you think. So I'm just gonna give you guys some general guidelines. It's just, you want to be eating about every 2 to 3 hours, all right? Whether you're a boy or a girl, all right? And this is stuff that I've learned from, through school, and my nutritionist I've been seeing for 15 years. Like, I mean, he knows a lot. Like, he knows just about anything. He's probably one of the smartest guys I know. He was the nutrition coach for the U.S. 2000 Olympic team, so he knows what he's talking about, and I talk about you guys a lot. So the biggest thing he says for you guys is just make sure you're eating often and enough. All right, so eat more than you think. Obviously, try and keep the crappiest foods to a minimum. I mean, don't eat it all the time. It's fine, like sometimes, but if you're out there always eating, mac and cheese, hamburgers, hot dogs, I mean, that's not going to help you so much. So try and keep it healthy-ish, making sure you're getting some sort of protein and carbs, all right, at each meal. And I have some handouts here that I'll give to y'all afterwards. That'll just give you some general guidelines if you want to look at it. And it has glycemic index. I'll get you in a second. We have glycemic index handout in here too. So that has to do with how fast or slow your body responds to basically a piece of food energy that you're getting. All right, so obviously at a meet, you want to have something that's going to get through your system and give you quick energy, obviously. But if you're eating something later at night, you want something a little bit slower. And so there's examples of all that in there, and so you can look at it. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, but I do know quite a bit about it. I mean, I try to follow pretty strict rules for my own self. So, yes.
My mom, she's like this weight loss thing, and there's this video where in your pantry like store all like the healthy stuff on the top, but like there's like sort of harder to reach sometimes. I have all the healthy stuff in the middle,
Yeah, I mean, that, like Maya said, that's a good way to do it. I mean, if you want to, if you're saying store your crappy foods like way at the top of the pantry where you're not going to want to always get that, and then your better foods in the middle and towards the bottom, I mean, that's the way you can go about it. Obviously, the best thing is I try not to store too much crap at my house. If it's there, I'm going to eat it. Because I love chocolate, I have a big sweet tooth, and I got to be careful making sure I don't store too much of that crap in there, okay? But everybody reacts a little bit differently to food. Some people, like I could eat 30 minutes to an hour before practice and be fine. but some people will kind of feel that in their stomach. They'll kind of feel a little bit nauseous-y. But you just basically got to be smart with what you eat. You know, you don't want to have a big old cheeseburger, big old milkshake, all right before practice, that kind of thing. I mean, that's just more a little bit of common sense, all right. And I mean, I've had plenty of people that are like, yeah, I had a big milkshake before I came to practice. I mean, that's happened all the time, you know. Lisa, no, I mean, it's not just you, but so just.
Example was literally me last week.
So just be smart about it, you know. Just be smart about it, and yeah, I think you guys will be fine. Just make sure you eat often, okay? Protein and carbs at every meal, pretty much, okay? Yes.
Is it bad if you hardly eat?
Yes.
That's
That's what I just
worse than
said.
eating
Yeah.
food. It's
You
way
want to
worse
eat
than
every
eating
2 to 3 hours, like often. They don't need to be huge meals, just like at least moderately sized meals. All right, because if you're doing 2 or 3 big meals a day, all right, that's going to spike your blood sugar level, and then it's going to go way back down. So you want to try to keep it as even as possible. So the more often you eat, the easier it is that way. Do you have a question, or you just? So goggles, I like Speedo Vanquishers.
2.0.
Those are pretty much most of the swimmers' favorites. A lot of swimmers that I've competed with and my kind of goggles that I always used to use. Speedo Vanquishers. I don't think Nike makes goggles. I think they got out of the swim business. I think they're done. But TYR, I don't know their model that they have that's similar to those. But you just basically got to find a goggle that you like. I didn't like the ones with the tiny eye sockets. I felt like it was going to suck my eyeballs out. But just try a pair on. You can always try someone else's here that you swim with and see if you like them, if your goggle's not working out. But usually, more often than not, it's the nose piece. Like how good your nose piece is, if it's the right length. All right, if it's too narrow, if it's too wide, it's going to be uncomfortable. You might get some water in there. So the nose piece is actually the most important part of the goggles.
And most goggles come with a few of them.
Yeah.
And different sizes.
Hold on, let me see if I had any other notes. I'm trying to remember.
You know what those are called?
They're called goggles.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. One more big thing that I forgot was, and I've talked to you guys about this a few weeks ago. We just haven't done it yet. Is I started doing this with my Longhorn kids back about a year ago, and they're goal cards. So every week I would bring some index cards, and I'd have a little box which I have in there, and you'd write a goal for the week. All right, one goal for the week. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It could be something general about swimming that you want to accomplish for the week. All right, just write that down, and I want you to put it in the box. I'm going to start living it, right by the check-in thing every Monday. So since we have, about almost 50 swimmers now, if you could do it on your own, just write a goal over the weekend, something you want to accomplish for the week, whether it's better streamlines, better push-offs, trying to go this certain time of practice in your backstroke or whatever. It can be anything you guys want. And I'm going to look it over, and I think that really helps you, give you something to focus on for that week. Because if you're doing, I'm not the kind of coach that tries to give you 3, 4, or 5 things to think about at once, because you're just never going to get better. That's just too many things to think about. I try to do 1 or 2 things at a time, all right, and then when we get that down, then we can move on to the next thing. So if you just write down 1 or 2 things on a post-it note, in a chart, whatever, your goal of that week, and if you bring it in every Monday, appreciate it. Obviously, please write your name on it so I can look at them, all right? And if you guys need any help with any ideas of what to write, just let me know, and we can figure out a goal for you for that week, okay? So, all right, so when he's talking about goggles fogging up, so that usually happens when you get goggles, you have a coat of anti-fog that comes with them, and usually that's going to erode away after a while. And I've told some of you guys before, every time you dip your goggles in the water, that chlorine is going to eat up at that anti-fog coating real quick. So do not dip your goggles in the water. The best thing you can do is lick them, use some of your spit, all right, and that helps a lot. You can try to get some anti-fog drops. I never really thought that those help that much, but you can give it a shot. But the biggest advice I can give you is don't dip your goggles in the chlorine, because that's what causes all that stuff to start fogging up, because there's no more anti-fog coating left.
Mine is all gone, so I'm just dipping in water. I don't care.
For your next pair.
I think that's really all I had. Got all the notes that I had down here. Any other questions or anything? No? guys got it. Oh, and I know y'all missed some of it, but I recorded it so I can give y'all the recording and email it if you didn't hear the first part. But it's on my phone right here.
Of course it is.
Right here.
Do with the
Oh
program.
my gosh, my.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, thanks guys for coming. Like I said, I don't talk very, very long, but give you guys these 2 handouts, just one per family. That's all you need. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, just let any of us know and try to help you out as best we can. All right. All right. Thanks, guys.
Woo!